Hello and welcome to Art, Creativity, and Wellbeing. This is the show where we are always working to support you in giving yourself as much care and love as you are very used to giving to others. And today I'm excited because we're wrapping up a series that has been called about cultivating a special way to do that. So I'm excited to jump in. I am Kay Locke Culp. I am a creator and a coach and a through hiker who used to need a wheelchair. I I can look back on my own journey of cultivating a positive money mindset and see that I was doing it, or at least trying to do it, long before I had thought that that's what I was doing. And so the reason that this series has taken the shape that it's had, in other words, the reason that I was inviting you to be curious about your feelings about the questions that have been asked, and then sort of relating it to the steps that I will invite you to take and keep taking today is because the more because having a positive money mindset or whatever our money mindset is, whether it's neutral, positive, or negative, is going to have an impact on how empowered we feel to bring about the things that these questions refer to, right? So, getting an understanding, first of all, of what money is. If you answered back in January, if you look back in your notes and you answered, money stinks, money is a problem. I used to, the vision that I was asked a really interesting question one time, and it was, and I've since brought this into my own coaching work. It was describe money. Like money walks into the room. What are they wearing? What do they look like? What are they saying? What, all what do you, I think that's a really interesting way to think about how we feel about money. So the way that I used to describe that was money felt to me like an incredibly glamorous, gorgeous, well-dressed, ballroom gown, kind of elegant person who was just looking down their nose at me and basically saying like, you can't have anything because you aren't worth it. And I remember that's me. I can remember working with a client once who, when I asked this question, what came back was that they saw money as kind of a, a like a scam artist in a really fancy ass suit. And I'll never forget. We got to the end of that session where basically what happened was I facilitated a conversation between this client of mine and money. And the last thing that they said that really made money sit up and take notice was, "You better not leave me again." And it was such a moving moment, like for them to realize, oh, wow, I have felt like money has deserted me when I needed it. And then to sort of see what's the growth that comes from being able to have that awareness. And later, that was when I was really first asked that question, was when I came up with that idea. Later, money felt to me like a hated prison guard, like it was stopping me from getting everything I wanted. And since then, I've come to um, I've come to see money as much kinder, much much more. Well, the name of a book that I've mentioned a time or two over this series, that's really meant a lot to me and has helped me figure out my money stuff tremendously, is called Love Money, Money Loves You. And so I see this whole thing as a lot softer, kinder, more generous than I ever did. And so the answer to that first question of how do you see money, I now see money as an energy. I don't see it as anything negative anymore. I see it simply as like the fluid of exchange, you know. It helps me understand how I value things and how others value things. And um, it's been great to have that, you know, understanding for myself. It's been very helpful bringing about the things that I've been wanting to bring about and finally have, right? Um, and so that was question one. What do you see money as, or how do you see money? Question two was, what is your direction? What direction would you like to be going in? And how closely aligned you feel to the direction that you'd like to be going in, you feel that you are going in? Can that money has a real, or how we think about money, our money mindset has a real influence on that, the answer to that question too. Because we can feel really burdened down. We can feel like, well, I want to be off doing that, but I can't because I've got these bills to pay, or I've got these responsibilities, or I've got a lot of debt, or um, those sorts of those sorts of topics, right? Or feelings can feel really disempowering. Uh, and at the same time, it's good to know what our direction is, and it's good to know how closely aligned we are to it because we can take steps to fix it, to address it once we know. If we didn't know, we wouldn't be able to address it. And when that was me, I was just reacting to everything and feeling powerless. So if that's where you are, I mean, solidarity, it is, I have a lot of compassion and my heart goes out to you because it's a tricky place to be. And I wish to offer hope as well because if I can figure this out, literally anyone can. You certainly can. If I can figure it out, you absolutely can. So I hope there's some hope in this for you. I'm so inspired that you even are listening and cultivating this mindset for yourself. That's incredibly brave. It takes a lot of courage. And here you are doing it. So that's awesome. Um, the question of your superpowers. What do you love doing and also is something that you're really good at? This, how we feel about money influences our superpower. Actually, I mean, I look back and see a real arc of growth for myself about what I used to think my superpowers were. And but then I sort of realized, oh, it wasn't actually what I love doing anymore. So for example, this podcast, this very container used to be for parents of young children. And I did two things that made it hard. I think one of them was I had evolved beyond. I wished then to be doing the work that I'm doing now, which is really supporting people, not necessarily parents, but folks who feel like they've been serving others and leading and are starting to be curious about like, okay, so who's helping me? Who's serving me? How am I getting what I need? There's many parents that could have those questions, and there's also many people who are at different stages of life where they've got maybe their kids are grown up or where they're not as needing, you know, sort of direct support on temper tantrums and potty training as this show and as my business was set up to be. Um, but at the time, that felt like a superpower of mine. Okay, I love children. I can help parents figure this stuff out, right? That's how I can help children because the whole impetus for starting the show was I had wished I could be in an early childhood education classroom and I couldn't. Gosh, you guys, it'll be May. It'll be 12. Is that true? It'll either be 11 or 12 years in May. I think it'll be 11 years in May that this podcast has been in existence. Like, wowzers. Um, anyway, I wanted to bring support for young children. And since I couldn't do it because my hands basically were inoperable, they couldn't work. They did not work at all, pretty much. I had 5% use of my hands is how I think about it. Um, I knew I wasn't going to be able to be in a classroom anymore. So how might I support? And the way that I figured out was I could make a podcast for their parents. And gosh, those kids, those original listeners, those kids are like teenagers now. What? That's so wild. Um, I actually know I'm still in contact with some of the folks who listen and some of the folks who are in my I operated a parenting community, a virtual parenting community then, and to watch these kids grow up is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, thank you for going down that little rabbit hole with me. Um, Superpowers can evolve, and I think that one of the ways they can evolve is that we can decide that this is not something I super enjoy anymore. What else would I like to be doing? And then how we feel about money will dictate how closely we come to living that truth. And so, I mean, I think one of the benefits of recording this series has been to sort of get a sense of how money plays such a role in our thinking, about ourselves, about others, about value, about our living circumstances. And I think it's really good to be able to have that awareness because that's how we can choose, right? Everything for me, everything comes down to being able to observe and then take a step from a place of calm instead of reacting and panicking. That has felt like such an important part of my growth, and if it's part of yours too, amazing, you know. So these are the questions that we've been thinking about. This is sort of like the realms that we've been operating in over these last few weeks. And what I'm going to do now is share two practices that have been incredibly helpful in shifting my money mindset to a more positive money mindset. And they are, so the first one comes directly from a wonderful book called Profit First, which I read first, I think 10 years ago. Actually, Mike Michalowicz, the author, was on this show um, earlier in 2025. So I think that was in maybe April or May of 2025. So I'll do my best to remember to link to that conversation in the show notes so that you can hear from the author, who's just got such a great attitude about life and such wild stories of his own about bankruptcy and creativity and worth and um, climbing back up so that you can take off and fly. I mean, like that's basically been Mike Michalowicz's journey. And Profit First is a very practical book that has helped me and so many people. It's a bestseller. Has helped lots of people really get an understanding of the flow of money week to week, month to month, how it comes in, where it goes out, and especially to make choices about where we put it. So that so for example, as a business owner, what that book helped me do was figure out how to have my business not eat my life in terms of income, to not have it draining away so much money that none was going into my family's income, right? Or into my savings. And what I started doing years ago was choosing to put, um, as instructed in this book or as invited in this book, um, for our purposes today, the one account that I wish to share about is the what's called the profit account. And what that is because the this book sort of is aligned on an arc of, you can if you start when you are a very small business making very little income and you start getting into the habit of sharing out money to your chosen places, and you consistently build this habit, as you're generating more income, more money will flow into these places and you will really see the benefits of that. And that's been so true. That's been so true. So the account that I think would be really useful for anyone, whether you operate a business or not, is what I think of it as the profit account. You could think of it as long-term savings if you'd like. You could think of it as money that you'll set aside for a number of years and then come back and look at. The point of this is you don't touch it yet. There will come a time when you're just starting where you haven't touched the profit yet. And Mike Michalowicz's advice is put it in a place where you can't get to it easily. Like open up another bank account, for example, have it somewhere else. And then every time you get paid, what you do is you take, so it's only a very small amount of income. Um, it's between 1 and 5%. And I think that in the book they may go a little higher than that eventually, but where I am in my career right now, I'm still looking at between 1 and 5% is what I choose. Um, and I started smaller and I've gotten bigger within that range, which is kind of fun. And every time I get paid or every time I do my income distributions, which is twice a month, I take whatever amount of money is allotted, whatever percentage is allotted for the profit account, and I put it in that account and then I don't look at it. And when I did finally go back and look at it, I was absolutely astonished at what a year's worth of doing this has brought. It's 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 so fun because I think it's so empowering. And I see it as useful both for a brain like mine that wants to talk itself out of stuff all the time, um, to just know that, for example, today that I'm recording this is the 10th of January. So one of my jobs today is income distribution. And it's quite lovely to do, but I used to talk myself out of doing things for all sorts of reasons. And if you want to cultivate a really positive money mindset, my invitation is that you pick. So is it once a month? Is it twice a month? Is it every time you get paid, no matter what? I twice a month has really worked well for me in terms of being able to see how invoices come in that then get paid and how it all works. Um, but just bringing my attention to putting a little bit of that income into a profit account has been so empowering. And now my husband and I, my life partner and I get to talk about like, what are we going to do with this? I'm just at the point now where I'm looking to take, when you get far enough along in the profit first sort of accounting, what you do is quarterly, you take a distribution from your profit account. Like you have the option anyway to sort of use it however you want. Just don't put it back into your business is the recommendation because your business already has enough money with its operating expenses over there. I don't want to complex this too much, but make this too complex. But basically, um, after an amount of time, you can you can decide what you would like to do with this profit or long-term savings account. Perhaps you'll use it as an emergency fund, or use it to build up your emergency fund. Perhaps you'll use it to go on a vacation or um, I don't know, invest in something that really is fun for you. Like who knows, right? Um, but that's what the first invitation is. It's choose a very small percentage of your income total, somewhere between 1 and 5%, and just get in the habit of putting it in a place where you don't look at it for a long time and just watch as it builds up, or just, sort of go off and enjoy your life as it builds up. And when you come back, it's like, wow, here's these magic dollars that showed up. It's really quite fun. And then the second one is, and I would say that this one that I'm going to share now has been the literal most important thing that I have done to cultivate a positive money mindset. Because what this did was it helped me relax my grip on money that came in. So this comes directly from How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever by Victor Bach. it is a practice that he calls glad giving, which is every time income comes in, you choose a percentage of it between 1 and 5%. It doesn't have to be any more than that. And believe me, I did 1% for months and it felt just as good as what I'm doing now. Um, which is still below five. Well, it's below 6%. Like I always stay within this range that was recommended by Victor Bach. You can certainly read more about why he makes that recommendation in the book if you'd like to. Um, so what you do is you choose your percentage, and then any income that comes in, you give that percentage to someone, to an organization that you care about, to a person that you love, like you or care about, to the people that stand in the intersections where you live, or however unhoused people have found to ask for money, right? Or to ask for support. Uh, you can do any of the above with it. And this one was so interesting. So I started this just at the end of 2024. I think I was doing this probably from November or so of 2024. So twice a month, what I do is as income comes in, I on the 10th and the 25th, I look at I put the money in these different accounts. So profit is one, um, paying my family, like our the money that comes from my business and goes into our family's, spending accounts. I do that on that day. I calculate what is staying in my business account as operating expenses. I put the taxes, I take a percentage for taxes, and then I also have this place for glad giving. And the first couple times I did this, I was literally shaking with fear. I felt it was such an uncomfortable practice. I think part of it was I think I was giving like $5 or something like that. And I was so mortified at the thought of, quote, only having $5 to give. But I found this book so heartening. I keep rereading it because I find it very, very heartening. And it's like, well, what we're doing is we're starting. This is a place to start. Okay, let's just start. And first of all, I've found that there are people in the world and organizations in the world where $5 or less really matters and makes a huge material difference. And so part of it that's been really fun is the discovery that, like, even if it feels meager and small to me, it's not at all. It's right. It's a positive money mindset. And so I have felt great joy in giving even small amounts of money. And it's been so fun to witness how they've grown. And this practice is a huge part of why the 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 glad giving percent has gotten to be a bigger and bigger amount of money, even though it stayed with the same percents. Because um, because when I wasn't glad giving, I was clinging to money in ways that I didn't even understand. Victor Bach describes it as addicted to money, and how when you're addicted to something, or when you're really, really anxious and centered and focused on something, you have a huge fear of it disappearing. And this, the reason that I think I was shaking and I found it so scary was because I was like, it felt so backwards to me, who had, quote, so little, to be giving any of it away. Like, and that was the mechanism to be able to do that, helped me feel so empowered and so joyful to know that I could support someone, but also that I felt a lessening of my own addiction to money. I felt myself feel less reliant on it, in any capacity. And it has really opened up a huge positive money mindset for me. That was a very, very big thing. So these small steps that we do regularly are the key to having and maintaining a positive money mindset. And I think that's really where we're wrapping it up today. I would love to hear from you, especially as time unfolds, if you sort of continue to do these habits. This is something that I founded a group called Dreamers and Doers, and a positive money mindset is a huge part of bringing about what we'd like to have happen in the world happen. And we happen to be doing part of our winter sort of time together in the community is conversations around this, around cultivating a positive money mindset as relates to bringing about what we really wish to have happen in the world and for us. So if that sounds interesting, if you've enjoyed this and you'd kind of like a little bit of accountability for yourself, or just to be among people who are also enjoying cultivating a positive mindset about everything, never mind, and sharing their already positive mindsets, because that's happening too. Please come check us out. The link is in the show notes. It's the school platform. SKOOL is the platform, and the community is called Dreamers and Doers. It's going to be much easier for you, I think, to find the link to the about page in these show notes than for me to try and name off the link. Um, but we'd love to meet you and get to know you in there. And if you've got any questions about it, um, and let me know. Drop me a line, klockculp.com/contact. That link is also in the show notes. Um, I'm so excited because here in the background, I have been interviewing some really awesome guests, and now we get to start bringing them forward for you. So, so I'm just wishing you I'm recording this on the 10th of January, so I'm wishing you a great 2026 as a whole. This will come out in February, so happy February. I hope your winter, if you're in the northern hemisphere, and your summer, if you're in the southern hemisphere, are going really well. And I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're on this journey with me, and I look forward to being in company with you again. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.